We are live.
Yes?
Live.
Awesome.
This is awesome. So if you could hear us, put a yes in the chat. We want to know that you're here. And happy Monday morning. Today we're going to be talking about ChatGPT's custom instructions and what that feature means, how it can benefit your use of ChatGPT, and when you may want to look for when it can kind of go against you. So again, today we're going to be talking about ChatGPT custom instructions. If you're ready, put ChatGPT in the chat so that we know who you are. Make sure that you like the live and that you share it out, because I guess that's how YouTube lives grow. So let's start. I'm back. Okay. So I'm going to bring up a page and then we will go from there. But first, I want to show you the official page of OpenAI. All right. So you can see this. Yes. Okay. This is good. All right. So you could see custom instructions for ChatGPT. We're rolling out custom instructions to give you more control over how ChatGPT responds. Set your preferences, and ChatGPT will keep them in mind for all future conversations. So, the whole point of this is for you to give ChatGPT context in advance so that when it responds to your prompts, it already has a certain sense of what you want, whether you want your responses to be short or long, whether you want them to be formal or casual, and whether you even want your location associated so that if you ask for the weather, it already has that location in mind. So what we're going to do is just go over this a little bit and then show you where you can activate custom instructions inside of your ChatGPT and what some good practices are for activating those custom instructions. So it says we're introducing custom instructions so that you can tailor ChatGPT to better meet your needs. This feature will be available in beta starting with the Plus plan today, expanding to all users in the coming weeks. So right now, I believe it's still only in beta for Plus users, and that's if you pay the $20 a month for ChatGPT. Custom instructions will allow you to add preferences or requirements that you'd like ChatGPT to consider when generating its responses. We've heard your feedback about the friction of starting each ChatGPT conversation new. Through our conversations with users across 22 countries, we've deepened our understanding of the essential role steerability plays in enabling our models to effectively reflect the diverse context and unique needs of each person. So what this basically means is that, let's say I'm a professor, my baseline response, I'm probably going to want a little bit more formal than, let's say, I'm a copywriter and I'm speaking to entrepreneurs that they don't really like the fluff or have time for reading the fluff. Does that make sense? But yes, in the chat, that makes sense. It says ChatGPT will consider your custom instructions for every conversation going forward. And when Shankar gets to his part of today's presentation, this is where he will add a little bit of nuance, because if you have clients and you're generating, prompts for your clients' work, you may want to actually create a completely different account for that client, because if not, you're going to have to kind of change the custom instructions with that prompt, because it may be keeping that context in mind for someone not you, right? The model will consider the instructions every time it responds, so you won't have to repeat your preferences or information in every conversation. For example, a teacher crafting a lesson plan no longer has to repeat that they're teaching third grade science, so it will automatically keep that in mind as they develop the lesson plan. A developer preferring efficient code in a language that's not Python, they could say it once and it's understood. Grocery shopping for a big family becomes easier with the model accounting for 6 servings in the grocery list immediately. All right. So give some context, and I'll put this link in the chat, but it shows I work on science education programs for third grade students. And then how would you like ChatGPT to respond when discussing potential solutions? Present the info in a table format, and it will automatically do that. All right. And it shows the code generation, the grocery list. When planning meals, consider that I need to cater to a family of 6. All right. So, and then plugins beta, we won't go into the rest, but I'll put this in the chat because I think that it's important to actually read the official announcement from the company itself. If you're enjoying this so far, happy Monday. All right, I won't sing anymore. All right, Shankar, let's show them, I'll show them how to set up an initial instructions, and I guess you could kind of show them after when it may hold them back. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Or anything you want to add before we go there?
No, I think when you show it, there's just some tips that they give. I think it's interesting to look at that as well.
Okay, and like the chat. We're on YouTube. Like the chat so we could reach more people. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up this screen, and we're gonna go through it so you can see my ChatGPT screen, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so again, right now this is only available if you are on Plus. All right, so if you're paying the $20 a month, you have access to custom instructions, and you may not have even turned it on yet. So maybe we'll do that a little bit together today. So I'm gonna try to make this a little bit bigger. Hold on, Shankar.
Mm-hmm.
Like this. This is perfect. See, you didn't know I could get fancy like that. Shankar's like, that's not that hard. Okay, so that's funny. All right, so if you see that I zoomed in here, right? You see this 3 dots, and then you see that it says my plan, custom instructions, help, and settings. So you're gonna click, first you'd click, I think, settings. All right. When you click settings, why is this giving me a hard time? When you click settings, you're gonna see beta features, and then your thing may be off. So you have to make sure that you turn your custom instructions on and your plugins and your code interpreter. Again, you'll only see these things if you're paying for ChatGPT. All right, does that make sense? So does everyone at least have their custom instructions turned on? So again, that's hitting the 3 dots, and then you're gonna hit settings, and then you're gonna hit beta. You're gonna toggle your custom instructions to the right, okay? Does everyone have it on? Put on in the chat if you have it on, and like the live. All right. So once you have it on, you'll hit the 3 dots again, and then you'll hit custom instructions. All right. And we're going to pretend nothing was here. So what we're going to do now, custom instructions, ChatGPT gives you some starters. So it says, where are you based? What do you do for work? What are your hobbies and interests? What subjects can you talk about for hours? What are some goals you have? Remember, whatever you put here has to be something that you want repeated. So if I say that, I'm located in South Florida, if I ever ask for the weather, if I ask for travel stuff, it's going to automatically know that I'm in South Florida. Okay. So start by answering some of these bullet points. Then when it says, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? It says, how formal or casual should ChatGPT be? How long or short should responses generally be? How do you want to be addressed? Should ChatGPT have opinions on topics or remain neutral? All right, so who has gotten to this screen at least? Put me in the chat so that we know who you are and that you're paying attention. Put me in the chat so we could proceed. Hey, Kizzy's here. All right, so Kizzy, everyone in the chat, go to Kizzy's YouTube and follow her YouTube, especially if you're a business owner who wants to do some government contracting. So are we at the custom instructions? What do you see, Shankar? Are they there? Let me go.
I see the latest is Dr. Geneva saying morning. So
Morning. See, I don't see any of that for some
I
reason.
see one person that says yes. Isa says yes.
Okay. Okay. So Dr. Geneva said morning. All right, I see it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go here, and then what would you like ChatGPT to know about you to provide better responses? So I'm going to say, I am based in South Florida. I help business owners build their personal brands, specifically on LinkedIn. I do this by helping them create content that attracts better clients for them. Okay. What are your hobbies and interests? What are my hobbies and interests? Why does it need to know? I don't know. What subjects can you talk about for hours? I can talk about content and business for hours. Okay. What are some goals you have? Should these only be Shankar, what did you put in here? You already did this.
Yes.
So it should be just whatever context you want to add, like business wise.
Yeah, I think
So
let me see what I put. Obviously, one thing that I noticed, it really has a lot of space, 1500 characters, or is that words? But I use about 353 of those, and I said I love discussing AI, finance, business models, but I also said that I have a focus on alternative healthcare models such as direct primary care. And then I added something that I see it often lets flow into the response, and that is, I told it, I believe that strategy always prevails over tactics. So I'm noticing that very often when it gives me a response that is knowledge-based, or where I asked for advice, if you will, it will actually say, because you seem to like strategy, that's why I modeled my response as such. So that's what I put.
I want to be addressed as Lord Farquaad from Shrek. No, I'm just kidding. No, I want to be addressed as Shrek. That's hilarious. Should ChatGPT have opinions on topics or remain neutral? ChatGPT.
And one important aspect of this field there is that you can give it guidelines, right? As you said, readability level 5 to 7. I, for example, said I want you to consider Strunk and White's Elements of Style, which is an entire book about writing styles. So you can actually tell it these general frameworks of style, and it knows about them and will apply those. Very powerful feature.
When are we going to get our affiliate code from ChatGPT? They just made money off of us from Charles.
Oh.
Where's our cut,
I
Charles?
don't think they have one yet.
No, they don't. They don't. But that's awesome. You should buy Plus because it's it will save you so much time. And when you compare prompts, we'll actually do maybe a training this week comparing what it's like to prompt ChatGPT 3.5 versus 4 in and of itself, because even asking for an outline, the difference is there's just no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Good morning. Some of us are mobile, but we're with you. Great training as usual. Morning, Dr. Geneva. All right, so here, going back to this, I put I'm based in South Florida. I help business owners build their personal brands, specifically on LinkedIn. So as everybody put in their stuff, right? And how they want to be addressed. So I'm going to save it. So now when I prompt ChatGPT, it should have these things in mind. And again, this is automatic, right, Shankar? Like this is within a new chat. It should automatically do this, correct?
Yeah. So when you are in that settings, there's a toggle that says every new chat should abide by that. I'm not sure if you turned that on, but that's where that would be guided.
Where? In the settings?
Yeah, go back to the settings of the custom instructions and then see that red.
Yeah.
Yep. So that toggle there.
Okay, so that's something, good thing that I asked, because that's something that I missed. So if it's not enabled, it will ask you every single time?
I have not tried, but I will now. That would be actually my preference.
Okay, so I'm going to put it for always, and then when we switch screens, you could try like this and talk about when this actually could be a disadvantage.
Yep.
Like, especially with client work, you know? Okay, so now it should know what my name is and all of that. So I'm going to just start simple and be like, what's the weather like today? So it used my name. So I would need to do, hold on. I would need to do plugins, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't otherwise have access to current
What's the weather like today? Let's pretend this didn't. All right, so let's just ask it a business-based question. Let's start simpler. Okay, give me an outline for a course for my students. I didn't say anything. Okay, look, because it has this context. Says, sure thing, Shanae. Here's a concise 5-module outline for LinkedIn personal branding course. So it's taking all of the context. And remember, we only use like 300 characters for the custom instructions, but you could use, I think, up to 1,500. So you could add a lot more context to this. Let me just, yeah, so you could use up to 1,500. We used around 300 in each. So I could add more specifics about who my top clients are, what exact person I'm trying to speak to when I'm curating all of this content. This is pretty cool because now you don't have to retrain it every time. Like, I need to create a course about personal branding, and I would have to explain that over and over again. Let's see what else I could ask. What ebook titles would you recommend for me to attract more clients? Sure, Shanae, here's a few ebook titles. Mastering LinkedIn, the Entrepreneur's Blueprint, Becoming a LinkedIn Rock Star. I would never, if it knew my personality more, I would never create something like that. Now, remember that I said readability level 5 to 7. So now I'm going to check it. And one more thing before we go to Shankar, I'm going to go to an app called Hemingway app. This app is free.
Great app.
If you look at Hemingway app, I'm going to put it in the chat. This is like the chat, everyone. It helps us grow on YouTube. So I put the link to Hemingway app in the chat. So here I could actually check to see if it's doing its job, right? And I could, oops, let me go back to ChatGPT. I could paste it. And this is no bueno. All right, so grade 13, it may be because of all the spaces. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I don't think so. That means that it's not listening to the instructions because it said readability level 5 to 7 and it's not changing. So what this app will do is it will tell you what readability level your writing is at. Now, why is this important? in several studies that they've done, even for in several studies that they've done, even for the financial industry, what they have found is that sales letters that sell tens of millions of dollars are always written at readability 4 or readability 5. So we have this very dangerous misconception that in order to appeal to people, we have to become Shakespeare, and we just automatically start writing really high level and like, to whom it may concern, all of that type of stuff. But actually, that gets in the way of conversion. So if you're actually trying to put out marketing messaging that will turn connections into clients or that will actually convert for your business, you want to stay around a readability level 5. And you could look this up. The company that did this study is Agora Financial, and they analyzed their top sales letters. What did these sales letters have in common? The only thing that they had in common was that they were written at readability level 4 or 5. And that's for the financial industry. All right. So if we go back to the Hemingway app, and we'll just see the second output, if what readability level it was, then we'll go in there. Now, I don't know, like, what do we do, Shankar, if it's just not, if I told it what to do and it's not listening? Because
well,
look, readability level 10.
Yeah, what I would try first is maybe in the custom instructions, be more specific about what you mean by that. Because, I mean, you didn't even add grade level, right? So what does level 5 to 7 mean? Again, I'm being picky, but that's what I would try first.
Yeah, let's do it. So we'll do it one more time and then I'll hand it over to you. So I'll add it here. Custom instructions should create responses at readability grade level 5 to 7. And I'm not even going to say per the Hemingway app because it should know what the editor app is, because this is a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
So save. And then I'm going to do the same thing.
I think you may have to try a new chat altogether, but maybe not. I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and try an all new chat together. All right, so give me 5 ebook title ideas for my client to track my clients. I think it's a little bit different. It looks a little bit simpler. Okay, so let's see. And then we're going to go here and we're going to see the readability level. So it's a little bit better. It's still an 8, but I think we'll get there. It did do it better. So because it was like at a 13, and that's just no bueno. So when could this, Shankar, work at your disadvantage? Let's talk about that.
I mean, if, for instance, you work as a professor on a research project and you're writing a document that goes into a scientific journal, probably this would work at your disadvantage, because in that realm, it is just expected for you to have a higher level.
No, I meant custom instructions. Like if you're an agency or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start by showing what I have. Okay, so this is what I have in mind, by the way. I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. I use ChatGPT to create content for my students, whom I coach in building a solid presence on LinkedIn and help grow their business. I love discussing AI, finance, business models, sales, psychology, and alternative healthcare models such as direct primary care. I believe that strategy always prevails over tactics. And then here in how would you like ChatGPT to respond, I want ChatGPT to always consider strong and wide elements of style. It's a book that goes over a lot of stylistic preferences. So that's what I have in my custom instructions. And now we can demonstrate that. So first, I'll pick up Sinead's example of asking what's the weather today. The only part that Schnee forgot is to check a plugin that actually gets weather data, but I can say, let me make that larger for you. What's the weather today? And how would it know where I am if it, so you see it using the plugin, that's a whole different life. Just know that it connects to other apps.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So how would it know that I'm in Texas, right? It knows because I have given it that information in the custom instructions. So then the other example.
And you think like kayak, like I have like a travel, like you think that they would have weather data for their customers.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But
I guess they do.
it was a very general question. What's the weather today? So let's see another example here. I'm going to first show an example where I really like it. I'm going to start a new chat. And I'm going to go to default. And just because I want data in here quickly, I'm going to turn on web access. That is an additional plugin that we can discuss in another live, not today. Just know that it lets me have up-to-date information. And I'm going to ask it.
Shankar's just trying to get you all to come back.
Yeah, that's the learn a little bit of strategy. You always want to plant seeds that make people come back to you, right? So what's new in the world of health insurance last week in Texas? And then it goes and looks on the internet about news. It basically gives me, all right, so, and then it has an answer here. Over the past week, the health insurance landscape has seen notable developments, so on and so forth. And we're going to let it finish that. So it's very nice that I get my references. Someone in the chat said that they would like the web access to come back, and I'm sure that happens at some point, and then you get these nice references.
Yeah, I would like it too.
So, okay, so we have this here. And what I will do now is I turn this off again, and I'll say, give me a 1-paragraph summary, please. So for all of this, it's actually very beneficial that I have my custom instructions, because it has a very different style. It has a very concise style, and I know it uses the rules of Strunk and White. So this is an example where this plays in my favor. Now, however, what would happen if I said write an email with a summary about these news? Okay, so in this instance, it didn't do it, but I tried to, in an example earlier here, health insurance updates, it started with dear students, and this is not something you always want, because it thinks I'm always addressing my emails to students. But that's not the case. Sometimes it is clients, right? And then you have a different tone in your voice. Like you don't want to be, I don't want to say condescending. It's not condescending. It's you don't want to be giving them this feeling that you teach them all the time.
So if you just added that specific in custom instructions, it would just stop doing that, right? Like, why does it think that you have students?
Yeah, it because in custom instructions, right, I have noted that I have students, social
Okay.
media students. So here it says I am based in San Antonio. I use ChatGPT to create content for my students.
Yeah. So if you change it to clients and then reprompt it and see what it says.
Okay. So what happens if I just resubmit this? Okay, so this might be because I need to start a new window as I had. Let me get some new information. What's new in the world of public relations?
But that's good too, because if you start to not like certain types of responses, you could always refine your instructions for it. Like you can continue to refine the custom instructions over and over again.
Okay. So again, this power of this ability to get the latest from the web for a future life. um, okay, so we're getting good information here, very specific. Okay, now if I ask create a summary, prepare an email. It will say dear team. It will not say students, and it probably has a different tone as well, where we are more on an equal level, being seen as equal team members. But I mean, let's just take also a moment to marvel at this. Let's assume someone pays me to keep them up to date on the latest Texas public relation landscape. I mean, this is basically hot off the press, as they say, and we did that here in like 5 minutes. I mean, I feel like we are getting already so used to this, but I also know that a lot of the viewers here on this live have never been exposed to this, and your mind is probably blown, rightfully so, because this is just extremely, extremely powerful. This is custom information, up to date, tailored to a certain demographic with a certain style, in this case, Strunk and White style. And this is just why you need to keep coming back to our daily lives here, because you will just keep learning more and more about how you can implement that in your businesses.
Yeah, and now's the time to ask questions. So we have 5 to 10 minutes to answer your questions. And, it could be specific to the custom instructions or just prompting ChatGPT. So just put them in the chat and we're going to be happy to answer them for you. Okay, Andrea, it is mind blowing. It's pretty cool, for sure.
Charles, you're welcome for the weather report, by the way.
put your questions in the chat. Loved it. As you refine your custom instructions, type in new questions.
I think maybe what Charles is asking is, as you add custom instructions to the settings, do you then have to open new chats with new questions so that it refers to the updated custom instructions? And it looked like that is the case. It looked like you have to open a new chat for that. Yes.
Would you modify your questions? I don't think the questions have to be modified. I think that the new chat just has to be open.
Oh, I see. I'm good at reading Charles's mind. Great. So I think go for the question about would you modify your questions? Obviously, the AI is only as good as your questions are, right? So the whole
or commands. It doesn't always have to be a question.
yes, exactly. The prompts, whether the prompt is a question or a command. I mean, this goes back to the whole idea of having to really become very proficient in prompting, in AI prompting. AI prompting is going to be a skill that is going to be as foundational as typing or as knowing how to. I mean, you all know the people who still don't know how to perform Google searches correctly, right? I know.
Oh, I know a lot of those people.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then I'm just gonna make the assumption that most of you do know that, and sometimes you look over someone else's shoulder and they try to find something, and you just kind of like, oh my gosh, what are these people doing? And you would probably never hire such a person to be your secretary or to be your research assistant or whatever. So similarly with prompting AI, that is kind of the same situation moving forward. So yes, in my opinion, you have to know, I have to craft my question or my command, my prompt in a certain way to get the best possible result. And this comes with experience, with curiosity, and with coming back to our live trainings, because
Yeah.
we focus on that very, very heavily. And it is going to truly set you apart, you, your team, your business apart from others who have AI at their fingertips but don't really know how to use it.
Yeah, I think some of these trainings are going to just be dedicated to prompting, because we could cover and type what you would want to see in the chat. Like, we've been requested, how to prompt a course curriculum, how to prompt a marketing proposal, how to prompt a social media audit. But whatever ideas you have, just put it in the chat, because prompting is, you have to know, first of all, how do you get better at it? You practice, right? So like when ChatGPT first came out, I wiped a lot of stuff off my schedule just to be able to dive right in, and people witnessed this firsthand. And I was able to learn faster. That's the first thing. The second thing is having a sense of what you want from it, and knowing, okay, if you know exactly what you want, are you going to give it certain commands to develop what you want, and then ask it questions to cover your blind spots? Or do you have no idea what you want or where to even start? And then are you going to ask it questions from the beginning for it to kind of act more like a consultant or life coach or whatever, right? Because then it will help you, it will guide you along the way if you don't already know the answer. Did you have something to say, Shankar?
Well, there is a question from Victoria Hamilton that is really related to what you are talking about right now.
So how can I ask it to give me information without it regurgitating the same words I used to ask in the prompt? So give me an example. And a lot of the times, like because this is something that I do with my clients, is that I'll watch them prompt, or I'll say, give me your chat history, and I'll audit their prompt. A lot of the times we kind of resist telling it exactly how we feel about the output. So if it's not good enough, say it's not good enough, right? Like if it gives me a prompt that I'm not satisfied with, I'll say, I'm not satisfied with this prompt, or like this prompt needs to get better in this specific way, right? So, but put your ideas of what you want to see as prompt in the chat, because I think it's also exposure. If you see someone that has a little bit more skill prompt something, and you see the way they do it, the way they break it down, when they use commands, when they use questions, and you could take that chat history, which the only people that will give the chat history to are the people who show up live, then it's removed from the chat, then you learn faster the more you're exposed to it too, just like anything. But usually what I have found, if it's not giving you because a lot of people come to me complaining like, oh, it's not good enough, it's not specific enough. And usually I just kind of sit there and smile, because usually the limit is the human and not the technology. So usually you're not getting what you want from it because you don't know how to prompt it. Right. And when that is refined and when that is taught a little bit, then you could start getting exactly what you want from it.
So taking that then, Shanae, and to answer Victoria's question, is you simply include it in the prompt. You say, and don't repeat what I have in my initial prompt. As an alternative, in the custom instructions, you could put in your preferences, which is the second field, never repeat elements I included in my prompt using the same words, for example.
And if it does, just say you use the same words, remove them. Right. So it's being like super clear, and it will mess up. You have to keep guiding it. So yeah, I think prompting is the main area. We need help proposals to clients and showing my company's differentiators. Yeah. So we have marketing proposals listed. We have course curriculum listed. We have like the generation of a podcast, like how do you get your podcast title, your podcast description, the marketing strategy we're going to cover. So I asked it to tell me a blurb about how our accounting firm excels at personalized attention and close contact. So for something like that, it doesn't know. So you would have to say, like, tell me a blurb about, or create a blurb about how our accounting firm excels at personalized attention and close contact. This is some information to consider. And then you have to tell it why you give like, how do you do that? Like, we send out a letter to clients every single month. It's one accountant per client instead of 25 clients per accountant, or 3 accountants per client, or 3 clients per accountant. We have bi-weekly calls with our clients. You've got to give it some type of context to work with, because it doesn't know.
And I understand, because further down, Victoria says, I was hoping for a different way of saying that, essentially. And that would be easy. I mean, you would literally say, give me 3 options to convey the meaning in this sentence using different words each time, right? And then it would do that very easily.
Or you could just say, like, how can I say our, you know, like, so again, this is, I mean, we could do this real quick. How can I say my, hold on, present, share screen. And so simplest one is like, how can I say my accounting firm excels at personalized attention in my marketing. Is this more what you're looking for? So it's not using the same words, right? And then you could say, how can I say it in 7 words or less? And then you could say, how can I show it to my clients? Is that what you're looking for, Victoria? Charles, I would. Like if you knew your company's differentiators, you could. If you don't, then I'd say a different prompt where
Mhm.
it will help you realize what your company's differentiators are through asking you a series of questions.
Yeah, I think that would be very smart, Charles, because sometimes when we are in a rush, we kind of forget to always reiterate our core
But I
values.
think this is what she was looking for, right?
Yeah,
Like, how do
yeah,
I say this in a different way?
basically alternatives to saying that. Yeah.
Mhm. So you've got to play with it. It's usually we'll cover prompting a lot, but we do have to go. Uh, just make sure that you like this live. We'll be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll probably do a prompting session tomorrow. Maybe we got to figure out what, maybe like a course curriculum, maybe some content stuff, but we'll definitely focus on prompting tomorrow. Thank you all for coming today. God bless you. Any final words, Shankar?
Come back tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Ciao.